I've had so much fun here, I have. I went bowling. I don't mean to brag. Really, there are two types of people that go bowling. There are people that really, really love bowling. And then there are the people that are like, wouldn't it be hysterical if we went bowling? Because for most of us, bowling is the activity you do after you've done everything else. It's like, well, we could go bowling, or we could just hang ourselves. Why don't we go bowling? No one's ever jealous when they hear you went bowling. Oh, you went bowling? Glad I couldn't make it. Well, bowling's great. You gotta love a sport you can eat while you play it. Never see that in tennis. Hey, before you serve, let me dig into these nachos. It's a different sport. There's an ashtray built into the bowling equipment. Poker doesn't even have that. And that hand dryer thing, if you're sweating while you're bowling, you're out of shape. And if you're out of shape and you're bowling, you're probably a professional bowler. There's nothing really healthy about bowling. It has to be the germaphobe's nightmare. Here, put on these moist shoes 10,000 people wore. And stick your fingers in these dirty holes. Now you have the flu. How dirty are those holes? It's not like those balls wear out. They probably haven't manufactured a bowling ball in 1,000 years. Someone's out there using Fred Flintstones right now. That is preposterous. I don't own a bowling ball because I'm not a weirdo. Yeah, I want to volunteer to carry around a 50-pound ball. Can you put it in a big, ugly purse? That's how I want to meet the ladies. Oh, couldn't help but notice you staring at my purse. It's filled with a big blue ball. Mind if I follow you around the parking lot? I'll just be humming. Ball in the bag. It's the worst song ever. I always have to pick out my bowling ball. I can never find the right one. I'm like, this one's too heavy. Oh, this one's good, but it's pink. My fingers don't fit. How do they decide on those finger sizes? They're either for a 5-year-old girl or the Incredible Hulk. How big are some people's fingers? Some guy wearing a catcher's mitt? Yeah, it's good. I can still catch the game, don't worry about it. Those bowling shoes, no update there. You need our special shoes before you can roll our magic ball. Some people have their own bowling ball and their own bowling shoes and no friends. That's mean. I can say that because I like bowling. I watch bowling on TV because I use my time wisely. I saw this college team championship. Each team had their own coach. What kind of strategy advice is a bowling coach giving? You know what this time, Timmy? I want you to knock down all the pins. You sure? Trust me. Just do it, son! That's weird. Bowling seems silly, but yeah, we all take it very seriously, right? Until we get that first gutter ball, we're like, let me show you how it's done. This is a stupid sport. There's few moments in life as humiliating as that gutter ball. The worst part is then you have to make that turn back to your friends. That ball's broken. It's tilted down there. You never want to be the worst bowler of the group, because then everyone treats you like you have cancer. You can do it. We're praying for you. The advice starts, use a heavier ball, keep your arms straight, you should get a vasectomy. If you're really bad at bowling like me, they'll ask if you want the bumpers up. It's not like bowling's that complex anyway. You want the bumpers? We can get rid of the pins. Why don't you take this coloring book and sit in the corner? But I like bowling, though. It's perfect for the lazy man. No other sport has a machine that rolls the ball back to you at arm level. All right, I'll keep playing. Is there any way I can do this in a chair or something? I am trying to be more responsible. I'm a father now, that's right. I became a priest, thank you. Bless you. It's interesting, when I was single, I never really saw myself as a family man. But now that I'm married and I have 2 beautiful children, it's really made me appreciate being alone. It's hard. My daughter's 4, my son's 2. I tell you, it's exhausting watching my wife do all that work. She should get some help. I can barely nap through the screaming. My wife does do everything. It's hard to complain around the mother of a small child. You're like, yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night. Oh, really? I slept for a minute. And I was breastfeeding during that minute. That's rough. Can you get me a beer? He is a jerk. Tell you, explaining things to my kids makes me realize how little I know. Recently, my son pointed to an antenna and said, "Look, Daddy, stick." And I said, "Actually, that's an antenna." He goes, "What's an antenna?" It's a stick. It's a silver stick. You nailed it, buddy. I always feel dumb. Doesn't help that my wife spells everything in front of my kids. Don't tell anyone about the ICECREAM. Who's in the emergency room? And why do I want a dilly bar? Because you can't say the words ice cream in front of a 4-year-old. They hear a commitment. Yeah, I'll have ice cream. Daddy was just saying the words ice cream. I'll have it right now. Chocolate. Went to a birthday party for a 4-year-old. That was awkward. Probably because I wasn't invited. The cake came out. I love how we serve ice cream with cake. You know, be good with this sugar bread, some frozen sugar milk. Let's give it to the 4-year-old, see how they respond. Oh, they're going crazy. My son's been walking for a while. It's amazing. Babies, they learn to walk and they're already trying to get away. It's like, time for a bath. So where are you going? What, are you got an escape car outside? You can't reach the doorknob. You only know us. What's your plan? Think it through, buddy. Think it through. Of course, you have a boy, you have to deal with the circumcision question. Men love that topic. They're like, can you talk about something else? Like prison rape, anything? Because circumcision's a scary word. I looked it up in the dictionary. It just said, ow! From the Latin for ah! We went through with it only because my son requested it. It is pretty crazy. Obviously, it started as a religious tradition, circumcision, but how'd they even come up with the idea? Well, there were a bunch of religious leaders gathered, and one guy was like, all right, how should we honor God? I was like, I see we don't eat pork. I don't know, I like bacon. Anyone got anything else? What if we cut off part of our penis? All right, no pork. We'll go no pork. I want that man removed! My wife told me that in the Bible, Abraham circumcised himself. Wow. I can't even get to the bank before it closes. Abraham did it. Yeah, God told him to do it. Would have loved to have overheard that conversation. Abraham, oh, hey, God, how you doing? I need you to do something for me. Oh, sure, you're God. I need you to circumcise yourself. I think we got a bad connection. Can you send me an email? Are you on Facebook yet? Tell you, those challenges in the Bible took a leap in difficulty there. It's like, don't eat this apple, build me a boat, cut off part of your penis. What if I build you 2 boats? How did Abraham even tell his wife, Maybe he didn't. He was just getting out of the shower. She was like, what the hell have you done? Honey, I can explain. God told me to do it. If God told you to jump off a bridge, if God told you to sacrifice our first... Actually, I have to talk to you about that one.
My wife is very good looking. That's right, I'm part of a mixed couple. It's not fair. She's good looking, she's smart, she's creative, but you know what? Horrible taste in men. So it evens out. I'm happily married, but I would say once a week I catch my wife give me a look like, I'm gonna have to let you go. Because I disappoint her constantly. I do things that annoy her. Like, here's something I do that annoys my wife. I use the bathroom. I know, I shouldn't, right? I get in trouble for not telling her I'm gonna use the bathroom. You just disappeared. Where'd you go? I didn't know I needed a hall pass. I also get in trouble for telling her I'm gonna use the bathroom. I'm gonna use the bathroom. Again? Are you okay? How many times is that today? You're disgusting. What are you doing there? Mostly get away from you. When my wife's really annoyed with me, she doesn't give me the silent treatment. She'll just take too long to answer a simple question. She'll just be standing a foot away looking at her phone, and I'll be like, hey, what time do we have to do that school thing? And she'll just be like, it's in the calendar. Are you mad at me? No. Recently, we learned that this couple that we're friends with are getting a divorce, and not surprisingly, my wife was very upset with me. I wasn't surprised because this wasn't the first time something I had nothing to do with was my fault. Trump's election, the Kavanaugh hearings, that was my fault. And I apologize because I unconsciously planned the whole thing. Now, I would never describe my wife as crazy because I like to be married. But I do think it's interesting that if a man calls another man crazy, it's a compliment. This is my buddy Joey's crazy. Joey's like, you're just being nice. But if I was like, this is my wife Jeannie, she's crazy. I even get nervous saying that. She's back in New York, but you never know. Because if my wife was standing here and I was like, this is my wife, she's crazy, I'd be dead. And all of you would applaud. You'd be like, well, that was a teachable moment. You know? We learned something.
I'm tired. I'm always tired. I know I come across as high energy. I'm always tired, and I'm married to a woman who never sleeps. I don't know if anyone's with a non-sleeper, but if you attempt to get rest with a non-sleeper, you appear selfish. Every night my wife's like, oh, you're going to bed? It's 3 a.m. Oh, I thought you loved me. I do. Is there something you need to tell me? I'm tired! I'm always tired. People think I'm hungover. They're like, you trying one on last night? No, there's just my body trying to stay alive. I've become one of those guys when I'm sitting in a chair and I go to get out of the chair, people around me are like, I don't think he's gonna be able to do it. It's 50-50. I have to make a plan. Throw your head forward, wish for the best. It affects what I wear. I see people in lace-up boots and I'm like, never! How much free time do you have? What do you have, your own butler? Eventually my wife was like, we should find out why you're so tired. And I'm like, I think it's you. So she had me call our doctor, who's really our pediatrician. And she's a great doctor. She gave me this at-home sleep study, so I slept one night with a mask on, and I dropped it off at her office, and she called a couple weeks later, and she's like, Jim, we should talk through these results. I'm like, sure. She goes, well, first of all, you have to understand, millions of people suffer from sleep apnea, but you're just a lazy sack. What a relief. There's nothing wrong with me. My body's just a lemon. My fantasy is that when I die, after I die, they'll discover that I had Lyme disease the entire time. Like the medical community will gather around and be like, he's the most productive Lyme diseaser ever. Everyone loves a quality Lyme disease joke. I think it's interesting how things that shouldn't be funny end up being funny. Like, my wife has a slight swallowing disorder. Doesn't sound like it'll be funny. And judging from some of your facial, don't go there, Jim. It's just a slight swallowing disorder, and she has it because she had a brain tumor. You guys are red flag number 2. It's just a slight, just when she's a bread or pizza, it sounds like she's choking, but she's not. That's just how she gets it down. It's not a big deal. It's something we've gotten used to. I try not to draw attention to it. I mean, I am bringing it up in my show. It's not a big deal until we go out to eat, and then I look like the worst human on earth. Because my wife's like, and I'm like, this is good soup, huh? The waiter's like, is she all right? She's fine, she had a brain tumor. Probably looks like I'm trying to kill her. I'm like, you got any other stuff she could choke on? I just bought her some of that life insurance stuff.
But that's parenting. It's stressful. Parenting is a sacrifice. It's exhausting. It's expensive. At times it feels thankless, but eventually you die. My wife hates that joke. My wife hates that joke. And in full disclosure, she does 90% of the work, and the 10% I do feels like too much. Like, I'm getting ripped off. 10% of 5 kids. That means I'm in charge of 1 kid for like half a day. I'm like a single mom. That's a joke where the audience thinks, maybe Jim is a dick. But my wife is amazing. Even in the most stressful moments, I will catch her looking at me with an expression that could only be described as regret. But she's Catholic, so there's no quitting the team. Thank you, Jesus. I'm aware my wife is out of my league. She's very thin and attractive. I look like I had 2 wives and I ate one of them. She's amazing. She's my writing partner. We do everything together. She's brilliant. She's creative. And I can't read her handwriting. No, we're total equals. I mean, when we rent a car, I won't let her drive. And that's not sexism. I just don't want to die. She can drive my kids around. I don't care about that. But if I'm in the car, She's amazing. Probably the most impressive thing my wife can do is her ability to remember absolutely every horrible thing I've ever done. And she'll just bring it up. We'll be watching television. She'll be like, remember that time you humiliated me when we went out to dinner? Now I do. I must have blocked it out searching for self-esteem. I don't want to misrepresent her. She's very forgiving. It's just the forgetting part. But since I'm Catholic and I'm a comedian, I was asked to open for the Pope when he visited America. And before you're impressed, it didn't go well. Like, I opened for the Pope, but the Pope wasn't sitting there like, ha, 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 ha. I don't know how the Pope laughs. Hopefully not like Jabba the Hutt. But I did 15 minutes of stand-up, and then the Pope-mobile drove into this outdoor amphitheater space. I opened for an automobile. And that's not even the first time I've opened for a car. I had to cut my honeymoon short so that I could perform at the Iowa State Fair, where I opened for Kyle Busch's NASCAR. Kyle Busch wasn't there, just his car. I did 15 minutes of stand-up, and then some stagehands pushed his number 18 on the stage, and audience members came up and got pictures with the car. The car did better. But I did open for the Pope Mobile in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And if you've been there, you know they mean that sarcastically. I love Philly, but saying Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love is a little bit like saying Syria, a place for peace. But I love Philly. I love the whole Northeast. I'm from the Midwest, but I choose to live in the Northeast because I love the energy and I love the fact that everyone in the Northeast is angry for absolutely no reason at all. They're furious. From Philadelphia to Boston, pissed off. Right? That whole Acela line, I call it the corridor of hate. But that is why we are the United States. Think of those initial 13 colonies. Like in Virginia, those guys, like Jefferson and Madison, those guys were like the philosophers. They're like, we're born with these inalienable rights, we should have representation. But it was the people in the Northeast, in Boston, that were like, screw it, dump all the tea in the habit. Those English are dicks, they don't say that before hospital. Don't you wish you were there when the Bostonians explained to the Virginians, yeah, we listened to all that stuff you said, so we started a war with England. The greatest superpower on the planet. The Virginians were like, what? We were talking hypothetically. Even Patrick Henry was like, when I said give me liberty or give me death, I didn't mean actual death. I was talking like death by chocolate death. But so I was in Philadelphia for the event at the sound check, and they had constructed this huge amphitheater next to the Ben Franklin Parkway, which is a highway, and the amphitheater was empty. And I was up there doing the sound check, and I looked on the highway, and it was already filled with 1 million people. And I looked at those people, and I thought, wow, 1 million people that don't want to see me do stand-up comedy. Because they were all there to see the Pope, and not one of those 1 million people was thinking, I hope the Pope has a comedian open for him. But I shouldn't have been surprised. In the weeks leading up to the event, there were all these interviews. They're like, you're opening for the Pope. There's going to be millions of people there. Are you nervous? Are you going to prepare? And I'm like, I'm definitely nervous. I'm definitely going to prepare. Anyway, I didn't prepare. So I was on stage at the sound check looking at those 1 million people, and I thought, I got to come up with some Philadelphia jokes. But what do I know about Philadelphia? I know cheesesteaks, Liberty Bell, and I just watched this ESPN 30 for 30 documentary about Eagles fans in 1968 throwing snowballs at someone dressed like Santa Claus. That's all I knew. So I went off and I tried to think of some Philadelphia jokes. Before you knew it, the event started and I was introduced and I walked out and the amphitheater was still empty, because the Pope wasn't there and it was a Catholic event, so everyone was at the bar. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna do my show for no one. So I go, it's good to be here in Philadelphia. And I heard this roar behind me. And it was all the people on the highway. And I was like, all right, I'll play to them. I was like, Philadelphia loves the Pope. And I was like, not that I was worried, but you guys weren't that nice to Santa. Nothing. Silence. And then I heard something that sounded like booing, because it was booing. It wasn't everyone, it was like 10%, so 100,000 people. Booing my Santa joke before they saw their religious leader who was gonna talk to them about mercy. So I did what anyone would do when they're being booed. I acted like I wasn't being booed. I did some jokes about being lazy and food, and I kind of got the crowd back. And I got off stage, disaster averted, and I pulled out my phone and I started checking Twitter, and I saw the most angry, hateful tweets I've ever seen. How dare you bring up the Santa incident? Never come back to Philly. I wish I could punch you. Bring up the Santa incident in Philly is like bring up the Holocaust in Germany. That was an actual tweet. Of course, the difference being that the Holocaust happened and Santa has never existed. At that moment, there was a tap on my shoulder, and it was one of the organizers, and they're like, do you want to meet the Pope? And I was like, I'm good. I was like, yeah, course, I'd love to meet the Pope. So I was put in this room with some of the other performers, and we were lined up, and the Pope came in, and then he started greeting people, and I noticed people that the Pope was meeting, they were saying something to the Pope, and I didn't know what I was going to say to the Pope. And before you knew it, the Pope was right in front of me, and I just said, "Don't bring up the Santa incident." And the Pope, he didn't say anything. He just gave me a look of like, dude, I would never do that. This is Philadelphia. They'd crucify me.